The menu is absolutely silly. It's just a silly thing. Silly, 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 silly. Saying that, I did enjoy the movie. I did like it. I liked it walking in. It gives us a fancy dance restaurant and quick draw character drops, which is nice. I always like it when it's nice and there's no wasted time. It's always good to see Leguizamo. He's wonderful. I've always enjoyed him, pretty much everything he's in. I have absolutely really high hopes for Taylor-Joy. She was an absolute unit in Fury. Loved it. She's all right in this. She's not anything special in it, but I hope she becomes an A-lister or whatever, because I think she's really good. I think she's got the looks. I think she's got the charisma, and I think she's a decent little actress as well. Okay, so we arrive at the restaurant, and Fiennes immediately cranks on tension. Bop.
Just dynamic tension.
And it's maxed out, dude. You can tell from the get-go that Fiennes just has this deep, sinister, nonchalant, murderous vibe, and it's absolutely lovely. Fiennes is one of the best actors in the world, in my opinion. He's absolutely wonderful. Sidebar. I really wish that we could get like a Voldemort origin story. Like, I don't know what Rowling's doing nowadays, but I feel like we should get that. I feel like that's something. I'd watch that. I'd read the hell out of that book. Like Voldemort Origins, like how he became the Voldemort. Like I'd read that shit. I'd hell read that shit. Plus, it's been a long time since Rowling has come out with anything, hasn't she? Has she even written any? I don't forget it. Anyway, Fiennes serves a bunch of high-class meals. Boom. And they're all metaphors or something for something and something. I glossed right over this. Is probably way over my head. Taylor-Joy's character won't eat the food, right? And this just pisses Fiennes off. She gets up, she goes to the bathroom to have a ciggy, and Fiennes follows her into the bathroom to ask her about the food. I love this.
Weirdo.
Because it shows that the social norms are completely disregarded by Fiennes when it comes to his art. And I love that little scene. It's a wonderful exchange between him and her. However, it's completely baseless because Fiennes had this whole evening planned out to a T.
It was planned.
Right? And she's the variable in his plan, but it shouldn't have been, because we learn later on that Holt was communicating with Fiennes the entire time, but he didn't tell Fiennes that, I mean, this evening was planned, and Fiennes, and Holt adores Fiennes, right? Idolizes him. So I find it very strange that Holt wouldn't have told Fiennes that he had a replacement date or a last-minute date. Yeah, so this, in my opinion, this shouldn't have been a surprise to
Not surprising.
him. It should have been planned. And then the morals of it are all over the place as well. I'll get into that in a bit. So, yeah. Then one of the main chef dudes does a murder on himself.
He's dead!
And to me, this right here is where everything just goes kaputs as far as the character's reaction. And this is where the silly steps in. Because up till this point, I was like, ooh, it's a decent little flick. Ooh, this is going to get a little, ooh, lots of tension coming from Mr. Fiennes. And then as soon as the chef dude done eats lead.
He's dead!
The reaction of the crowd is, or the reaction of the customers is so disjointed, in my opinion, from what would realistically happen, that I just can't, it just doesn't, it doesn't work for me in my brain, and my brain just kicks me out and just starts ripping up and grinding on itself when I see this type of shit. So, Chef Dude kills himself.
He's dead!
And there's, okay, so let me paint this for you. So the restaurant has two places, there's two separate rooms in the restaurant, there's a lot more, but there's two main rooms in the restaurant. There's the dining room and then there's the kitchen, right? And Chef Dude walks out and they drop a cloth behind him so he can blow his brains out
He's dead!
without getting, brains on the food, I guess. And he gives a speech about how he's never gonna be the best, and Fiennes drills him on how he's never gonna be the best, and then dude kills himself.
He's dead!
Dude kills himself.
He's dead!
Everybody reacts, everybody stands up, everybody kind of goes a little, ah! And then immediately, not immediately, but essentially right afterwards, the ideal or it's somehow glossed over as in like it's part of the menu, it's part of the experience, it's part of, it's all fake, it's all this, it's all that, and it's like, no.
I don't think so.
There's no technology that I'm aware of that can fool, I mean, I don't know how Hollywood works, but I feel like it'd be exceptionally obvious to tell if somebody legitimately shot themselves in
He's dead!
front of you. I feel like that would be a very, I did not detect any VFX or CGI. It seems as though this is reality. And so, to me, their complete and utter willingness to let this slide just pitched the silliness of everything, right? Just culminated the silliness. Well, it didn't culminate, but it set the tone for me. There we go. It set the tone for me. So throughout the entire, so up to this point in the movie, I'm just like, dude, it's all right. Oh, dude, this is kind of serious. Oh, this is kind of a thrill. Oh, this is kind of, oh, fines, you. Oh. And then this happens, and then immediately I was just like, oh, this is going to be silly. So let me run you through about how it should have gone, right? So homie kills himself.
He's dead!
That's it. Night's over. There is no more food. There is no more service. There is no more, the dude's dead.
He's dead!
Like, the night is over, man. The boat's being called. Okay, so homie eats lead.
He's dead!
Then, every one of the customers should have been like, let's call 911. I don't think anybody busted out their phone. And it kind of bugs me how they didn't go over this, because if there's no self-service on the island, all right, fine. I accept that 100%. If there's no this on the island, okay, fine. I accept that 100%. But the fact that they didn't even address this makes me, I don't like it. So, yeah, so this is how it should have gone. Dude kills himself.
He's dead!
They all shout, they all should have tried to call the police. If the police could not get reached, then they should have, because there's like 30 people living on this island, dude. They have a way to get off the island. They must have a boat. Then they should have taken that boat and somebody should have gone to get authorities, okay? So if those two options are dead, or more importantly, if those two options are completely sundered by fines, well, now that immediately gives the game away, doesn't it? Because when somebody dies,
He's dead!
and somebody else is like, so do you guys want to just like eat that second course or take a tour of the island? That's telltale signs that this homie is a maniac, and he's probably gonna be okay with killing anybody. So that's and I think that's why they didn't address this so hardcore at this specific instant, because it gives the game away right away. But to me, it should have been a different thing then. They should have completely done this differently. They should have either not had the dude just off himself.
He's dead!
They should have slowly stepped up the madness, the blood, the maiming, or what have you. Because I think a dude gets his finger cut off, so that should have been the first one. And if that wasn't the first one, forgive me. But it should have been slowly incrementals, and then as soon as dude kills himself,
He's dead!
that's when everything should have just come crumbling down, and Fine should have just been like, you're all gonna die tonight. But he didn't, and so, at least as far as I remember the movie. So, yeah, so this is all over the place. I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever. But once again, as I stated, or I might have stated, I don't know, I forgive this movie pretty much every rule it breaks, every instance of butt fuckery this thing produces. I don't care, because its premise is just lovely. All right. Okay, so then a twisty twist comes out, and Holt is actually an evil dude who's basically okay with Taylor Joy getting the old hacha guillotine, and she reacts appropriately.
I'll kill you! I'll kill you!
Yeah. Then for some reason, Fines decide to give only the men a chance to survive, because the writers were like, wouldn't that be funny? And this is silly twofold. in my opinion as well, because once again, Fiennes has planned out this entire evening to a T. He has gotten these specific people to attend this specific dinner on this specific day so he can just kill everybody.
Hello, sir.
Right? There is no way, in my mind, there is no way that that dude, right, leaves it up to chance that they'll get away. And more importantly, why the segregation between men and women? That makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's like, it's completely arbitrary. Like, why not let them all escape? If you're gonna let anybody escape, why not let them all escape? Why just hold back certain members for literally no reason? And you could say that these individuals were specifically, that the women were specifically or more, that Fiennes' real goal was to murder the women, but then at the end of the movie, he lets Taylor-Joy go, so it, you know, it's... I don't know, this just doesn't make any sense to me. And then it kind of bugs me how, one, all the men just left all the women. I mean, except for Holt, but he's crazy, so it doesn't matter. But literally all the men, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I'd expect my guy to be like,
Robin, promise you won't go.
All right, I promise you won't go.
nah, babe, we're running together, or something like that. Or, I don't know, something. Not to just leave me. Yeah, and this entire scene is just completely ridiculous because, first of all, nobody jumps into the water. And, like, I know, currents, sharks, all that great stuff, you could drown, but the shore mainland isn't super duper far away, right? And if you know you're gonna get killed by this dude, I'd rather take my chances with the ocean currents and sharks and whatnot than homie who literally wants to kill you all, is pretty much guaranteed to kill you all. So yeah, I'd have just kept running, and then dove right into the ocean. And then just tried to stay under as long as possible and get out far away from the island as long as possible. And it's nighttime, so it's not like it's not, you don't have good visibility in the ocean at nighttime, so it's really a decent way to escape, but nobody did that, and whatever. Where are we at? Oh yeah, okay, so none of the dudes escape, which maybe that was the plan in the beginning, but you can't know that. You can't literally guess what everybody's gonna do, and like, what if somebody hides and you literally can't find them? Well, then you're just spending 2-3 hours of the evening looking for this one dude. It makes no sense. It's the hand of the writers coming out of this movie screen and being like,
you want to hear the funniest thing ever?
This would be funny. Let's do this. It's like, well, what do we do? Yeah, they were literally in the writing room. They're like, well, what do we do now? And he's like, well, what if we just have him let people escape arbitrarily? And it's just, bugs me, absolutely bugs me. Okay. So then Holt kills himself. Holt hangs himself because Fiennes said he was a shitty cook or something like that. Then the movie starts to boil down, and Taylor-Joy stands up and says, I want to send this food back. Ultimate power move.
She's too strong for him.
And she's like, worst of all, for a cook who's so friggin' good, I'm still hungry. You know, she gives it to him. And in this moment, his pride as a chef is like, you know what, you little hussy? Fine, you're gonna get it. And so then he goes and he makes her a bomb diggity ass cheeseburger, right? Whips it up all professionally, and he has this little hint of a smile as he's making it, as he's cooking it. And you can tell that he loves food. He loves cooking people food. And he brings it out to Taylor-Joy. She takes a tiny bite and then asks for a to-go box, please. This bugs me.
Goddamn bugs whacked us, Charlie.
Buggins me, dude.
It's bugged. Yes, it's bugged.
Buggins me a lot.
Bug!
Right? Because realistically, Taylor-Joy's character should have been hungry as fuck at this point, because they started the dinner is daytime and now it's very late into the evening. So realistically, her character in this realistic world should be starving as fuck, okay? Secondly, they undersold the cheeseburger hardcore, dude, because the cheeseburger is her catalyst to freedom, right? So to go through this ruse with Fiennes in this manner, to me, doesn't show the appreciation. So that entire scene just didn't play out the way I wanted it to. How it should have played out, right, is he should have brought the burger out, right? And she should have taken a little bite, right? As she did. She'd taken that little bite, and then she should have gone, oh, really? And she could have kind of lost herself in the moment, right? And as she's legitimately, genuinely enjoying the fuck out of this cheeseburger, it just pans up to Fiennes, and we just get to see him
Voldemort, probably.
happy. A dude who's literally about to kill himself and all of his followers and everybody he hates. And in this brief moment of making a simple meal for a simple girl, it brought him joy again. And so to me, it didn't, this just wasn't as impactful as it could have been, because yeah, I mean, it means so much. It means so much, but then it's just glossed over. And once again, I forgive it because it essentially hit the mark, but it's on the very edge of the target.
That worked?
Kinda, not real.
Okay. And then she asks for a to-go box, and he gives her a to-go box, and he lets her go. I absolutely love this.
Weirdo.
I think it's so. This is why I needed that cheeseburger moment to be so impactful, because it is literally the story tool, the catalyst to her freedom. And so it should have been much more impactful. It should have been much more dramatic and much more just more, right? But once again, this movie is silly, and this is technically a silly thing to do, so it fits in it. And like I said previously, I forgive all this movie, all its shit, because if this is the level that Hollywood's given us, I'll take it. I'll fucking take it, dude. Okay, so then the silliness continues, and this part right here is what literally almost made me laugh at the movie. Like, I literally just started chuckling. Fiennes dresses the customers up in chocolate hats, big old chocolate top hats, and this marshmallow shawl thing. And I'm just like, dude, this is fucking ridiculous. This is the stupidest thing. And it's like, okay, so your people, your customers, the people that you hate beyond every aspect of it, the people that you hate so much that you've decided to literally murder them.
Murder.
You're going to make people, these individuals, part of your final dish? Silliness aside, okay? Silliness aside, Fiennes wouldn't do this.
I don't think so.
Because he is so passionate about the food. He would never sully it by adding in parts of people he hates to the dish. Yeah, it's just over the top and silly. And another thing is, okay, so how it all plays out is Fiennes dresses up all the customers, top hats, marshmallow, shawl, vests, scarves, or whatever. And then Fiennes decorates the floor, which again is stupid. Very stupid in my opinion. And then, yeah, so he decorates the floor and then walks into the center of the floor, sets himself on fire. He starts burning with all the customers, and then all the chefs in the kitchen, they blow themselves up. And it's just absolutely silly. This should have been a very impactful moment. This should have been an exceptionally impactful moment, but instead it's just over the top and absolutely silly. I don't think Fiennes would ever do this within his character scope. Blah 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 blah. How this should have played out, right, is Fiennes should have chained everyone to the tables, because that's the other part in the thing. When you set somebody on fire, they're not just going to sit there and fucking be on fire. They're going to blah, and they're going to run around and they're going to do crazy things because you're on fucking fire. Unless you are literally bound, you're running. I'm on fire! Fire's not fun. It hurts a lot. Okay, so first of all, how he should have done this is he should have chained all the customers to the table at this point. Then he should have doused every single one of them in a bucket of gas. Then he should have served them the most brilliant whatever dessert.
That's fancy. That's fancy.
I don't know what high-end desserts. I'm white trash, so I don't know what high-end desserts are. And so he should have served them this super high-end dessert and then forced them to eat it, right? Forced everybody take a bite. Everybody has to take a bite. And then he should have set them on fire.
Fire.
Right? And as he burns, okay? And this is the other part that I have a problem with. Not with this movie in particular, but with movies in general. So Fiennes has followers in this movie, right? Followers that are so devoted to him that they're literally willing to die for him, okay? So in my opinion, when you serve your devoted followers the same fate as people you loathe to the point that you make an elaborate plan to kill them, to me, this is insane. Because you're treating your own, the people you supposedly love, the people who adore and worship you, the exact same as you're treating the people you hate and abhor. And so this isn't, this should never have happened, in my opinion. So how it should have played out is, yeah, Fiennes lights everybody on fire, forces them to eat, lights everybody on fire, and then as he's watching everybody scream and burn being chained down, he should have turned to his followers and been like, I'm going to miss you. And then as he starts to walk into the flame, one of the followers should have been like, we're coming with you. And then turned it on, and then yeah, they all should have been like, we're coming with you, we're coming with you, we're coming with you. And then he should have gotten the last tear as they lit the fire and blew up the building. To me, that would have been perfect, because then they chose to go with Fiennes, right? They did choose essentially to go with him as it was. It was all part of the plan. But it should have never been part of the plan. He should have, because that's just not how it works out, in my opinion. You don't dish out revenge to your enemies and revenge to your friends and loved ones. That makes no sense. Okay. Everybody burns, everybody dies, yada, 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 yada. Okay, so Taylor Joy drives her boat into the dock, parks it in the dock, and then she climbs on top of the boat hood and realizes she's safe, and then looks at the island, and as the island blows up, it confirms that the island's not that far away, so you totally could have swam, but she didn't know that it was gonna blow up, like, she didn't know. So, like I said, I forgive it, everything about, every single instance in this movie where I'm like, this sucks, it's forgiven, because it's such a unique and lovely premise.
Weirdo.
And yes, it is silly, but if that's what it's meant to be, then that's what it's meant to be, and I'll take it as it is. If they were going over everything and they were trying to be like, this is going to be silly, and so, well, let's do it in a silly way. But if they were literally like, this is going to be one of the most impactful, dramatic movies of all time, well, then I'd have a little bit of a problem with it, because then it was supposed to be serious, but it came off silly. But I think this was intended to be a little bit silly, a little bit humorous, a little bit off kilter. So yeah, so I don't believe that this Taylor Joy thing should have happened at the end of the movie. I think it should have been a little bit different. I think she should have gone full bore into the island, right? Drove the boat up onto the shore, and then as the boat tips over and she, realizes that she's safe and the adrenaline starts to wear off, she looks over at her cheeseburger, grabs it, opens it, looks at it, takes a bite of it, rolls her eyes at how delicious it is, And then behind her, the camera here, behind her, island explodes, right? And then she whips around, looks back at the island, sees the island explode and all that stuff, and she gets this worried look over her face. But then resolve flushes, and she just eats the hamburger. To me, that would have been a lot more impactful because it doesn't set it up for the visual. No way. It does set it up for the visual, but it also sets it up for the impactful, right? Because you get to see her face go from, holy shit, all those people just died, to, they were fuckers, I didn't care about it, and I'm hungry. Boom. And so it kind of drives her character home in a way. I think it's a really nice send-off for her character. And yeah, that would have been a lot better. Not a bad flick, dude. This is not a bad flick at all. I enjoyed it. It was very silly during a few parts, and there are several instances, like I mentioned, where it just ripped me out. But because I enjoyed the premise, because I enjoyed Taylor-Joy, because I enjoyed Fiennes so much, because I enjoyed Holt, because I really wanted to see how this is all going to play out, even though it was under the filter of silly, I still enjoyed it. It was still a decent little off-kilter romp of a show. A nice little ditty. I would have liked to seen a little bit more of the relationship between Fiennes and his followers, just to give us a little bit more of that believability. I know they kind of did. They expressed that he was, or they expressed that his followers were devoted to him, but they never really tapped into why, right? Like, I can understand somebody is so great and skilled at something that you kind of admire them, maybe a little bit too high, putting them on a pedestal. But I think there's an extreme difference between somebody having a skill, wanting to be like them, and somebody being like, all right, we're going to murder some people and I want you all to die with it. And it's just like, whoa, like, I like you. I want to make good food, but no, I'm not murder. So I wish they would have just delved into it just a tidbit more, just to give me that extra stitch of sincerity, of realism into it. I just didn't get cult vibes from the chef, the apprentice, the followers at all. I just didn't get the cult vibe from them. And a few adjustments to the plot, like Fiennes and Holt talking about why he wasn't told of the new date, and the follower's death should have been chosen and talked about with more detail than just it was the hostess lady's idea. I was like, okay, so it's your idea and it wasn't Fiennes' idea. Well, Fiennes should have rejected that idea because he doesn't want, but then they should have been like, no, we are all going to go with you. We love you so much. But then Fiennes should have been like, no, I love you and I will not treat you to the same fate as my enemies, or something like that. And then they didn't want to live in this world without Fiennes, and that moment should have been a little bit more. The death of the hostess lady should have been reacted to. Like, I would have loved a little tidbit of a scene where Taylor, because it's an absolutely wonderful scene. Taylor-Joy comes in and she kicks this keg into the kitchen area, or into the dining room area. She was sent to get it for some fucking reason, I don't know. But while so Fiennes sent her to get this keg, and then while she's going to get this keg, she calls homie on a ham walkie-talkie ham radio, and the hostess lady finds her, and then they fight, and then Anna Taylor-Joy wins the fight, which is it's a sick fight, and she kills the hostess lady, and then goes back to the restaurant, kicks the fucking keg into the room, and then that's it. We never hear a single thing about the hostess lady again, when I feel like Fiennes should have been like, oh, thank you. Where's hostess lady? And Taylor-Joy should have been like, she's dead. And he should have been like, dead? And he should have looked at her, and she should have looked at him, and he should have just been like, and then moved on. Because then it would have been, okay, But still, that doesn't make sense, because if she's a devoted follower of his and he had compassion to his followers, then he would be exceptionally upset at this. So if he doesn't have compassion for his followers, then I suppose that killing them all in the same way he kills his enemies isn't necessarily outside of the scope of what he would do. Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like it would have been a lot better if we would have seen the followers choose to go with him. I mean, I know the lady says, the hostess lady says, it was my plan to kill everybody. But like I said, that Fiennes should have rejected this idea. Unless he's a full-blown maniac, then in which case... Well, if you're a full-blown maniac, then why even put up this ruse? Just fucking go kill these people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway... Decent flick, really good. I like it. I would not watch it again. I would definitely recommend it if somebody was like, hey, I'm gonna go watch The Menu. And I'll be like, decent flick. But I'd never be like, hey, if a friend ever came up to me and was like, hey, dude, like, I want to watch a movie tonight. What do you got? What can you recommend? I would never recommend this movie. It did a good job keeping me entertained from beginning to end with a rather enthralling premise. Their characters were fleshed out enough and likable enough, but I didn't even flinch when they all died, so yeah. I don't believe it for a bit, but it's okay. It was an entertaining movie, and honestly, if this is the quality that we get from Hollywood, like, I'm perfectly okay with it. Because the message wasn't political. It was character-driven. And that's what all the stories should be. I mean, if you have a story about politics, then yeah, okay, bridge politics into it. But I feel like the majority of movies nowadays, and which one of the reasons why I don't go to movies anymore, I used to go see movies all the time. I mean, I literally used to see every single movie that came out into theaters, every single one. But like for the past 7 or 8, 9 years now, I've seen like 4 movies in the actual movie theater because, well, for one, it's just not worth $12 to get a message you don't agree with rammed down your throat, but then you don't even get a quality story. And so you pay $12 for, 1, morals you don't believe in, and 2, a story that isn't good, which is the whole reason why I'm fucking here in the first place, to be entertained. Like, okay, you want morals, you think this is important to the story, you want to shove this down people's throats, all right, make it believable. Make it, you're freaking out, dog. Make it realistic within this world, right? Make one of your characters be a political activist, not just them having this ideology because they want to promote it as the normal ideology. Pisses me right the fuck off. But anyway, yeah, decent flick. I hope we get more like these. I hope I see more Taylor-Joy, and I would love to see Fiennes in more roles like these. I really would. I absolutely adore him. Anyway.